Do. Just tell me about Steven.
Sure. So my name is Stephen Perry. I am from Springfield, Delaware County, right outside Philadelphia. I am a school teacher, teach fourth grade language arts, and I'm also a Division I basketball official. Traveling a lot. Need to be in shape for my job. Like to be in shape for obviously my family as well. But reason why I looked into this and went with you is just because I wanted to see what it was like to get possibly in the best shape of my life at 40, and to really just work on staying healthy throughout the season of the basketball. It's basketball season.
Mhm. And talk to me a little bit about where were you were at when we started having conversations, right? Because obviously you had to have at some point gotten to a place where you're like, hey, it makes sense to actually get some help. So like talk to me a little bit about your situation. Again, I know some of this, but talk to me about your situation before we met and what kind of led to you being even open to having a conversation at first.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the past season, I had a couple injuries refereeing, and I was a little bit heavier. I was around like 185. And I'm someone who always likes to exercise, likes to try to eat clean, quote unquote clean. But I was kind of just spinning my wheels where um, I'd be at 185, and then I drop to like 182, and then I go back to 184, 85. So I was like in this perpetual state where I was kind of in this like cycle of eating clean, but like wasn't getting the results. And I go to the gym 5 6 days a week. So I was confused. I'm lifting, I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, and I got to the point where I was just tired of kind of this cycle and the way I looked. And the injury also was a huge motivation. So I wanted to see, okay, I wanted to get down to a certain number, and see how my body felt. If I was at this number. Looked at a couple of different places and found you actually on Twitter. Um, One of your interviews about like the calories in versus calories out,
Yeah.
and talking about how to lose weight. So I clicked on your link and kind of looked you up a little bit, and then reached out, and from there we kind of had this relationship. And the goal for me for you was just to help me build muscle, and at the same time lose body fat, and get down to the weight that I felt comfortable. Our weight was 170, which we were able to accomplish that goal. I actually weighed in right before I came down here. The lowest was 168.8.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Nice.
I haven't weighed myself this week, so I'll be curious to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be curious to see where I'm at. But I was really, really, I was stoked that we could figure out a game plan, um, that I can get this down. And the cool thing about it, Joey, that like I thought you really did a good job was you made it simple for me. Um, you know, the calories, able to set that like the math of it was actually was crazy how you were able to figure out the math of like, hey, you're about 2,600 calories per week. So if that's the case, let's cut it down to 1,700. We did that. We hit a little stall, and you're like, okay, well, let's increase our steps and cut it down to 1,660. And just to like see the process and like it actually works, while still being able to enjoy myself eating out once in a while and enjoy myself having ice cream and different things, not starving myself. I just thought the process was really cool. It was actually very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then the lifting the 4 times a week. That's my big. I mean, I love lifting. I love exercising. So um, it was weird to cut back, from going 5 6 days a week to 4 days a week, and then still seeing the results that I wanted to see. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Ian, before we started working together, had you ever actually had any sort of hands-on coaching with either the nutrition or the training at all in any way, shape, or form?
No, no, everything was by myself. I try to like look up a bunch of good online like resources to help me with, but I've never had any type of coaching, nutritional wise or exercising wise. So you're the first person who's
Yeah.
who I worked with.
Yeah. Well, and then talk to me about what that process was like in your mind, since it was really the first time you ever went through it. Like, I have to imagine, again, there were probably some like questions, concerns, fears, doubts coming into it. What did that
Yeah.
look for you? This being the first time that you'd been through a process of potentially hiring somebody, like what were some of the
Uh,
questions, concerns you had?
so I honestly I was just really nervous because it's online. I just like I was nervous because I would you wouldn't be there in the gym with me. You're not there, guiding me what to eat. So that was probably the most nerve-wracking part was like the like you're not there with me. But what I liked about it was like you did a really good job of even though you weren't there with me, you were easily accessible, whether it be, through the app, everything through the app or through texting. It was, if I had a question, you got back to me. When we hit that bump in the road where I was kind of like plateauing for almost like 2 weeks, we did a Zoom. We had like a Zoom every 3 weeks or so, just to check in and see where I was at and how things were going, and like if there was need to be any tweaks, that we had to make. We were able to talk through it, but it was nerve wracking at first, just because of you know I'm used to seeing like, oh, this actor or so and so worked with like a guy, and like that person's there with them all the time, and it's like, well, he's in Tennessee, I'm in Philly, like how is this going to work out?
Yeah.
um but you did a really good job of easily dispersing those fears within the first couple weeks. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to hear your perspective on this too, because I don't think this is uncommon. Like, I think this is a thing that a lot of people go through, whether they've had coaching before or not. And some people have had in-person coaching, and obviously, I even have a background doing in-person coaching. But I'm curious, like going through that with that in the back of your mind, before you actually got into the system and saw, oh yeah, this is working. What made you say yes to an online format, even amidst the fears that you had?
that's a good question. I honestly don't know. I don't I get like I the gym I have has some coaches, and it just I kind of saw what they were doing, and um I just felt like it was kind of a waste of my time.
Mm.
I also wanted to really have someone dial in with the nutrition. I mean, I know the lifting was the lifting, but like the nutrition part was the part that I was struggling with the most. Again, it wasn't like so much the what I was eating; it was the amount I was eating. So I wanted to dial that in more so than anything else. Um, but and honestly, it just kind of was just organic that like I saw kind of what I saw in my gym, and I was like, I don't know if I want that. I also didn't know, I didn't really look up anything like around the Philadelphia area where people could come. I just happened to be on Twitter one day, and like I said, I saw the video that you had about like it was like losing fat, and it was foods to eat, or something along the lines of losing fat and calories in and calories out, and you were doing an interview, and I saw that, and I clicked on it, and I saw that I saw that you had a plethora of experience and nutrition, and like the in the exercising aspect part, and just kind of wanted to do more research on that. And then when I did reach out to you, I did reach out. I was a little bit hesitant with choosing you just because of the online stuff. And when I looked at other things, it was just like I just felt a connection, and that's really what it was, Joey. Like it just my gut was just saying go with you, honestly. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it went with my gut.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I'm glad I was able to make sure that your gut check was correct. I'm glad I'm glad I was able to do that, man. And you brought up something a little bit earlier, and you mentioned it now that I want to zoom in on, because I think there's a lot of people that have the perspective that if they just eat clean, like they're going to be able to get the weight off and keep it off. And obviously, we would be better off eating clean than not eating clean. But I remember being honestly like impressed with your food selection when we first started. We were 2 or 3 weeks in, and I was looking at your food log, and I was like, you eat really good, like clean, healthy options. However, we were still, 15 pounds heavier than we wanted to be, right? And so,
Hmm.
how do you think your perspective on nutrition shifted as a whole going through this process?
It's just it shifted with the amount of food I was eating. Like I said, I just, with the job I have, I can't have I don't have the luxury of eating what I want whenever I want, however I want. So I was always big on like, okay, like, I want whole foods. But the amount of whole foods I was eating was just way, way in excess of what I needed. Like I said, the biggest thing was the realization of like the amount, and you're trying to you're like, oh, I need to eat this much for the protein, but like, you know, you can eat 100 grams of Greek yogurt, and you'll get almost 20 grams of protein from that. So it's not like the food scale became my best friend. Honestly, it was a huge awakening to see the amount that I was eating in excess using the food scale, and that was I mean that was the biggest factor. And I think in me being able to lose those 50 pounds was measuring out my food, And that was an apprehension I had too. It was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever. This is gonna suck. Like,
Yeah.
but honestly, man, it got to the point where it was taking 2 to 3 minutes, like max, measuring your food and having it for the day. Another thing I did was like really dedicate myself to like meal prepping for the week on Sundays.
Mhm.
And that just set me up for success. Like, but again, it wasn't like I wasn't eating clean, but um, knowing like, okay, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can have meals set aside. I know the amount of calories. I know the amount of protein that each meal is going to have for lunch. Not so much for dinner, but for lunch. It just made my life easier. Not having to think so much made it so much easier. But definitely the food scale was a huge, huge factor in like seeing the amount of food I was eating, and that really helped make the change for me to be able to lose the weight. Hopefully, the goal was to keep the weight off and
Yeah.
build upon that. So, but yeah, it was interesting to see because all throughout, my years of like refereeing and things like that, and people always saying, "Wow, like I can't believe how clean you eat and how well you eat." And it's like, yeah, I'm doing all these things great, but like I'm a little bit of a belly, and like I said, I was on how I was hurt this year a couple times, and it's like, well, dude, like, why is this happening? So it was refreshing to meet you and to get introduced to the food scale and use how to use it, and then like I said, to see the weight coming off and to see like I was worried that I was going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to starve myself, and I mean, very rarely did I feel hungry throughout the entire process. Like very, very rarely. I probably number of times that I felt like I was like, oh, like I'm actually really hungry. But like most of the time, I was satiated. I was fine. I had energy. I actually felt better.
Mhm.
Making sure with the foods I had and like the amount of food I had. So it was. I just really, really enjoyed the experience. I really did.
Good, man. Good. Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I think one thing that you can speak to here to kind of start to close us out is you are now sitting in a spot where we've kind of hit, I mean, we've hit your kind of target body weight where we want to maintain and hold. And there's a lot of people that will obviously work together for 12 weeks and we still have some poundage to go afterwards.
Hmm.
But you sitting in the seat you're sitting in where you're now at maintenance body weight, and I know you and I in private have talked about what needs to change and what we need to do to continue to refine things going forward. I would love to hear you kind of talk about what are you most excited for and looking forward to when it comes to your goals and what we have next now that you actually are at, a healthy body weight that we're trying to maintain.
Yeah, just seeing what my body can be at 40. Honestly, like, you see and see, you see people on TV and younger people, and it's like, wow, like that's great. But like have success at the age that I'm having, like the I'm not old, but like I'll be 40 this year, but hitting that and being in the best shape of my life at 40, I'm very really excited for that. I'm excited to see like what my body can do, how it holds up. I'm looking forward to, like I said, like this looking my best and feeling my best. And it's not just about looking your best, but it's also about feeling your best at the age I'm at. So that's what I'm excited to do. It's to see the changes your body has made and to see like what you can do. Like I just want to challenge myself to do more. So that's that's the exciting part. That's what I like. Sky's the limit now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, and you're kind of in what I tell people is like the end game. I mean, we're going to continue to apply the same principles of, hey, we need to progressively overload, and we'll continue to refine and change body composition with time. But now you get to one, have more calories back, which is going to be a fun change for sure, going from a
Hmm.
deficit. But two, we really get to refine and see, hey, how do we make this sustainable as possible for Steven for the long haul and really dial things in. And even when the day comes, start to really optimize things beyond just the nutrition, beyond the training, and start to have those conversations too. So I'm excited for you, man. And I would love to have you kind of round this out with just if there's somebody watching this who maybe resonates with where you're at, like they've eaten clean, they understand clean eating, and they're not inactive by any means, and honestly they're not too terribly far from their goal, maybe they're 15-20 pounds away, what would you say to that person? Like what makes it worth actually taking the leap and polishing off that last 15-20 pounds and really refining this and getting it to a point where we're at maintenance and sustaining? Like what makes it worth it for that person who's already doing so well and so close to where they want to be?
Yeah, I would just say like my thing is like what more can you do, right? Like you've done enough, but like now like have someone help you so that you can go even further. I mean, I just looked at it as like for myself, I'm doing everything. Now I want an expert. You know what I mean? Like you are an expert in this field. And I just think that when you have someone who is doing all those things and so close to your goal, but you're having trouble obtaining it, most people seek out cancer. Like that's what people do in other fields. So why not do it for this field? This is your body. This is your life. So if you're willing to do that in your job and other aspects of life, why wouldn't you invest in yourself to, get someone like yourself who's an expert in that field to take you to the next level? And like I said, I have I have felt great. I've gotten, more compliments and more things like, and I've put people, I mean, I don't know if I've reached out, but I put people, I said, hey, this guy is doing a great job with me, and people are questioning, like, how did you lose this? Or, what are you doing that you look this way? So I just say, make that investment in yourself. That's the biggest thing. Like make that investment in yourself and, um, see what you can truly achieve by getting an expert in the field.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that, Stephen. I appreciate your kind words. And man, you have worked very hard. There's never a doubt when I open your account, there's never a weigh-in missing. There's never food log missing. There's never a workout missed. And if it is, you told me ahead of time that it was going to be missed. Like you've absolutely earned it. And I think that is anytime I do these interviews, like the big takeaway that I have with all the people that get to the point where they've had such success that we can sit down and have this interview is they've earned it. They've earned it. And again, I can load the bases and I can give you a really great plan. But at the end of the day, you have to be in that headspace where you're truly ready to commit to this and make a change, right? And you
Yeah.
have, and that's why you've succeeded. So you've worked really hard, man. And I'm really proud of you, just as
Thanks.
a client, because you've earned this, man. You've earned it.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It's funny. It's there were definitely days, and I'm not like tooting my own horn, but there were days where it's like, oh man, like I don't, it's early in the morning. I don't feel like going to the gym or I don't feel like doing this, but like having that person that, I didn't want to let you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's about me, but like I was like, shoot, like I don't want to let Joey down.
Yeah.
He's taking time to invest in me as well as, I'm investing in myself, but he's taking the time to invest in me as well. Like I don't want to let you down. And I think having that, it's not always about the motivation, but having that in the back of your mind too, as another tool on top of the motivation, the discipline is also beneficial. That like, hey, like, there may be days that you don't feel like doing it or want to do it or if things come up, but it's like, this person is investing in you and you don't want to let them down, because they're taking time out of their day to make sure that, you're reaching or being the best that you can be. So that was, I just thought it was that was interesting as well. It's like, shoot, like, this is about me and making sure that I'm doing it. But like at the same time, like I'm going for myself, but like I'm also going to make sure like he sees that I'm invested in it as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, again, like you've done a great job here, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this because obviously this is
yeah, of
something
course.
that one it helps me learn more about how I can better serve people like Steven, and also I think people that resonate with you can see the fruits of the labor. Because again, I think there's so many people out there that are so close to where they want to be like you were and already know a decent amount, but that last push, man, there's some compounding returns on that last push and the benefits